And a welcome here to an all-new edition of Two Mics No Filter. Of course, I'm Dan Tortora, aka DT, and my better half on the other side here, Miss Andrea Smith. We are here today to talk with you about a lot of different things, and this is our Thanksgiving special for you all. So it is what we are thankful for here in 2024 and in general. And we're going to go back to some nostalgia, speaking of thankfulness, of TV, music, and movies from our childhood. So here with Andrea, Two Mics No Filter on Facebook, X, and Instagram. It's all at Two Mics No Filter. And of course, below us, you could subscribe to our show on youtube.com/Two Mics No Filter. And of course, you can look us up at your favorite podcasting platform. So with that being said, Miss Andrea, how are you?
I am good, Dan. I should start by saying I'm thankful for you. I'm thankful that you have time for us to talk because I know you've been so busy.
Yeah, well, we've both been busy. October was a whirlwind. October is my birth month. So October 21st, planning my 21-year anniversary party for broadcasting, traveling, and a lot of personal things that were going on in the background. October was a lot of great things, and it was also a big boy month for me. So big boy month took some time. I'm grateful to God for it, but I'm also grateful that we're back here.
Me too. I had a pretty big October too. Everybody will be excited to know that I finally got to the Eras tour. I finally got tickets to Taylor Swift's Eras tour. I went to the Miami show, so I went to the night one of kickoff of her being back in the States. And it was everything you would imagine it to be in the sense of 3 hours straight of people screaming and shouting, no dead time, everybody just so into it. Funny side of things, people bring friendship bracelets to trade at Taylor Swift show, and I don't make friendship bracelets. Who has time for that? Not me. So I bought mine. If you can buy it, baby, let's buy it. So I bought mine. And so little girls were coming up do you want to trade? And I swear to God, I kid you not, I was like, my friend does. I did not want to trade my bracelets. I bought them. I did not want to trade them.
So you bought instead of making your bracelets, and then you turned little girls down when they said, do you want to trade?
Yeah, because here's why. It came in a pack for each of her albums, okay? So I love all her albums. So it's how could I give away Red? How could I give away Reputation? I just couldn't do it. So I was one time I did it hesitantly. I was like, oh gosh, okay, sure. And then after that, I was like, nope, no more for me.
Do you have bracelets? Yeah, these were given to me. I'm going to keep these. They were given to me by me.
Yeah.
So, understood. So the Eras tour was good. Any demonic stuff show up in Taylor's show or no?
If you have the mentality to believe that she has demonic stuff in her show, then there is obviously a portion of her show during the Tortured Poets department and Reputation that people seem to think is that. I don't think so at all. I think it's the artist. I think it's the same thing as when we were kids with Michael Jackson, Madonna, all those things. It's it's an art form in the sense of creating entertainment and a show. So I don't look at it that way, but look, I get it. If you think that, then you think that. You know what I mean? But I don't think so.
Well, hopefully you're out there doing good things and bringing people to God, Miss Taylor Swift. So we have a lot of things to talk about today. Like I said, this is our Thanksgiving special. So thank you for saying you're thankful for me. I am also thankful for you. I will say this. I'm thankful that years ago, I reached out to you on a whim and was like, hey, I'm going to see if she wants to do a show and come on to Wake Up Call and do a set with me. And then we did one, and before I could say, I'd like to have you back, I got a message from you saying, if you ever need me back, I'm coming back. And I was like, well, that's a good sign. So we were both thinking the same thing. And then it became a segment on Wake Up Call, and now it's become its own show over these last couple of years. So I do want to say I'm thankful for that. It's a very easy elevator pitch for me when people say, what's your relationship show all about? I said, well, it's Two Mics No Filter. And I said, myself and Andrea, it's a his and her approach to everything everyone wants to talk about, but everybody's afraid to talk about. And every time I say that, people go, I have to hear that show. So
and we talk about things that we've been through or our friends have gone through that maybe it's the friend of the friend. They don't want to talk about it because they don't want anyone to know it's them, but we talk about it. I will say that is the beauty of social media. Whenever we talk about the positives of social media, like connection and, across the country, and that was post COVID, I think, and I was getting back from having a baby and trying to get my like fitness back, and I was big on this positive like fix or whatever, and somehow we started following each other, and I mean like two things just turned into this, and it's I think that part of social media is really freaking cool, and I guess I would say that I'm also thankful for social media for that side of it because it does connect people, and some of my people that I enjoy talking to on social media, I feel like I talk to, whether it's sending memes, reels, etc., more than I do with people in my real life, which is crazy. But you find people that aren't in your community, but you have like a genuine connection to, which
Yeah.
is really neat.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, social media for me has really brought a lot of great things, great people into my life. And I mean, somebody yesterday sent me a message. He saw that Fran Brown, the head coach of Syracuse, honored my 21 years of broadcasting at the beginning of a worldwide press conference. And I did not expect it. And it was in front of all the media, in front of the whole world, and here in my hometown. And a huge honor that I want to thank Fran for again, because I did thank him for a bunch of times after he did it. And I just had somebody reach out to me. He's like, Dan, I met you at a card show within the last few years, and I just want to let you know that like I'm happy everything's going well for you, buddy, and like my best to you. And
I love that.
it's stuff like that. I mean, it's stuff like Paige reaching out to me, that Paige and I met through a fan down in Boca Raton, that she was in Boca Raton, but she's from here. And his friend was like, hey, my buddy Alan, I guess, like listens to this guy, Dan Tortora, and she didn't know who I was. And so they're like, you got to connect when you get back home. And then Paige and I built a friendship, and, she sent me a thing for 21 years and said, nobody better in the business, nobody cares more is what she said.
I love
So,
that.
things like that really do mean a lot. And social media has been beautiful in that way of giving me people that I never, thought of. I mean, we just had the 21 year anniversary party at the Wildcat Sports Pub, and there were people there that I wouldn't know if I didn't do a show and they didn't watch it and listen to it.
Sure.
So for that, I'm grateful. My first fan, Mr. Jerry Hart, from the beginning of the beginning at Marywood University when he was the head of security back in November 2003, he drove up to the party, and he still watches to this day, and he listens, and he gives great advice on and off the air. And so, I mean, there's so many great things to be thankful for. I mean, I would honestly say, looking around that room, plus all the messages I received and the phone calls, the texts, the videos, like, I'm still in awe that those people were just there for me, not like, oh, I'm there because I'm on my way to go do this, or I have a game here, or this made sense because I'm going to visit my girlfriend or whatever. Like, people literally drove to be a part of it, and they wrote messages to be a part of it. And I I thought that God and I were doing this alone, just us. And what I learned from that party and standing on that stage and looking around the room is I thought I was doing it by myself, and in the meantime, God was building an army. And I can't be thankful enough for the angels that I have in my corner. So I will start off by saying I am thankful for the undying, unwavering, just there's no number you could put on it, amount of support and love for this little kid that's a big kid doing what I wanted to do when I was a kid. So I just want to thank God for that. I want to thank everyone involved and all my dogs, and of course Miss Lily, my little girl, my daughter. And with that, I defer to you and what you're thankful for.
Well, first of all, I want to say that I'm grateful that people were there to celebrate you. I actually wish like I'd have known about it sooner and maybe could have made a little cameo myself, but I'm very glad that you feel celebrated and everyone showed up to make you feel special. I think that's awesome. I don't know, man. I mean, obviously, it's so cliche, but obviously, I'm grateful, thankful for my my health, my family's health, my parents still trucking along and active with my kids and all that. Grateful for like where my kids have grown in this past year and all those things, but also like grateful for a couple things that, like meeting certain people in the last 2 years or so, new friends and people that really you, and this kind of goes back to the social media thing, that connection. You can tell when you click with somebody right away, you know. And I have been lucky in the last like 2 years. There's about, I'm not a ton of people because I'm one of those people that has a lot of acquaintances, and I don't keep a ton of people close to me. But you know, when you meet somebody and you feel like there's a click there, I kind of connected with this girl through mutual friends, and in the last 2 years, we kind of stayed friends on social media, and we just kind of chit chatted back and forth, and we kind of felt like we were both kind of on the same journey of just, you know, early 40s, and it's not really a midlife crisis. It's more like just discovering who you are, what you want, and that you don't want to live a narrative of something, a path that somebody else paid for you, I would say. So anyway, she's become one of my closest friends. So I'm super grateful for that relationship because I think it's super important when you have friendships that you have people that you can just kind of be yourself with 100%. Let loose, be yourself. So
Yeah.
I would say, you know, outside of just like the normal family stuff, career, being grateful of those things, like grateful for new friends, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm very grateful for the people that I've gotten to work with.
Yeah.
Amani Free gave me, I mean, everybody got me emotional. Amani spoke at my event, and, you know, she worked for me and interned for me. And I mean, seeing her find her voice and have confidence in herself when I've seen so many beautiful things in her that I want her to share with this world, I'm so happy for her. I'm happy to have her in my life. I'm happy to have my brothers, Jason Lucas, Rob Drummond, Isaac Elford, Ross Turetsky, Johnny Roberts, you know, the people that have just, Jimmer Sikowski. Jimmer has ALS, and he's had it for 4 years and counting. And he came to the event, stayed for pretty much the entire thing. And Betty Sikowski and everyone that's been aides for him and helped him. I stood up on stage and he mouths his words, and I looked at him and I told him how much I loved him, and I could see over in the corner, I saw his lips, and he said, "I love you." And I
Oh,
went
that's
to him
great.
afterward and I said, you know, I love that, you know, you hold my hand with your thumb, and I love that, you know, we're family and we're brothers, and that we love each other. And I said, thank you for always being there for me. And he said, and I always will.
Oh, I love that.
And so, I mean, Jimmer, I don't want to forget anybody, but Joey, my big brother, Joey Lando, the third, down in Florida, meatball number one. I'm meatball two. So to Papa Joe and Mary. So I mean, I'm just I'm so grateful for the people that I can trust. I finally have found my peanut gallery, my group of very tiny amount of people that I trust with big decisions, my cabinet, if you will, and I'm grateful for that. And you know, I'm just happy. I mean, 21 years, I'm doing what I love. I mean, I wake up in the morning and I do what I love. And I travel with what I love. And I'm home with what I love. And I'm spending time with Lily doing what I love. And I'm meeting new people doing what I love. And to look
Do
around
you
that.
know how, not to cut you off, but
Okay.
do you know how not common that is
Yeah.
for you? Like, despite like what you've said in the past when we've talked about like struggles of starting your own business and all those things, it is so uncommon for people to follow their passions and to live a life true to their passion, you know,
Yeah.
after many years and still feel that kind of love for what they do. I mean, I kind of feel the same way with what I'm doing. And I actually had my mid-year review and told my boss the same thing this week. We were talking about it because we're good friends. And I was saying, you know, I still wake up every day excited to build brands and excited to do what I'm doing. You know what I mean? And I just think it's, God, Dan, I know so many people that are just not passionate about anything. And I hate to say that because they're not bad people. They wake up every day in the grind of life. And it's like outside of just their kids or their family, which by the way, I want to throw this out there. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that being your whole life. I'm just saying
Yeah.
when you don't have anything else that you truly love that you're doing, you know, I just can't imagine I can't imagine being that unexcited every day.
Yeah. Well,
You
and
know?
that's the thing that, you know, I say I have it all. You know, to me,
Yeah.
I have everything
Yeah.
outside of the thing that I wanted the most, which is having a wife that
Right.
actually genuinely loves me and puts me, second under God, and then to have kids that we raise together and just really have that genuine, real, magical type of love. I mean, I have everything else. I'm 39 years old, and if I was 80 years old living the life that I lived, I would feel rewarded. I would feel that I've done a lot of things that I wanted to do. And I mean, I've favorite character is Spider-Man, and I got to be in his movie, in the Amazing Spider-Man 2. I'm writing a script right now of a movie that I want to do. And I mean, musically, being able to find my voice and discover what that is over the years when I tried to be somebody else and now I'm just being me, to writing over 40 songs and my dad bringing me a random pile of stuff. And it was a set list of songs that I had written when I was a kid, which brought me back to getting over my past and finally feeling completely detached from pretty much all of it. I mean, there's all these things that I'm proud of and I'm happy for. And yes, I don't have her yet. And no, I don't have my kids yet. But I'm
It'll happen.
I
It'll
have.
happen. Everything's falling into place.
Well,
See, people didn't know this, but this whole episode is really just about us, like talking about how happy we are with who we are. You know what's funny, Dan? When you were saying that, I laughed because I started to smirk because so I too was quite the songwriter as a 7 or 8 year old. And it is like, I think I might have mentioned this before. It's the going joke between my best friend and I that we sing the songs that I used to sing because I obviously have read them to her and told them about it. And we run around the house and we sing this song to each other all the time. And it's funny to hear you say that because I was the same way. Like, I wanted to be a writer, I wanted to be a singer. But here's the difference. I think you've told me this before. You can actually sing. So I actually am talentless. I cannot sing.
come on.
However, in my mind of minds, from 7 to about 22 years old, my head, I believed that if I could sing, I would have been a star. You know what I mean? I wanted to write. I could dance. Like, I was just missing the important piece of the vocals. But if I could have just auto-tuned it, I might have been Britney Spears in her good days.
Well, give yourself a little more credit. And I'm happy to hear that you've done that you've written them. But I mean, I'm going to tell you about a song, and this is crazy. Vanessa Carlton, wherever you are, I hope that you and I can one day have a laugh about this. But I wrote a song called Time to Go Away. And it arguably is the best song I've ever written. It's also the most painful song. And it wasn't my story. I literally envisioned this man. I saw this man and I saw this conundrum that he was in, and I wrote it. And when I wrote this story, I put together piano and guitar on this system that I had on my computer on the software. And I kid you not, it is almost carbon copy the same as Tonight, the song by Vanessa Carlton, but I put the audio together a year before her song came out. So to this day, every time I hear it, and when I watch White Chicks and I see, oh my gosh, I'm going to forget his name, and I see, oh my goodness, he's at Guardians of the Galaxy too, the Terry Crews. Whenever I see Terry Crews do the da-na-na-na-na-na, and he turns and he looks, that part right after that is my music. So to see that in that movie, to hear it with Vanessa Carlton, I just find it crazy that I would write lyrics and then I would like see them come up in a song. I'd hear like similar lyrics in a song later on. And when I put the music together for Time to Go Away, I gave it to my dad. My dad has a copy. And then Vanessa Carlton's song came out Tonight. And it's literally genuinely, and the people that know me know this, it is almost exactly the same as what I came up with. So I just, wherever you are, Vanessa, apparently we have the same brain. So
Love it.
so
I thought you were gonna talk about singing 1,000 miles. And I was like, I love that song.
oh, I would walk 1,000 miles. That
Yeah, I
song by
love that
yeah.
song. I love that song. Anyway, keep going.
But I will say this, I'm very, above all things, and people know where I stand. I'm grateful to God, and they say, it's in the Bible. Jesus says, if you forget me in front of the world, I'll forget you in front of my Father. And to me, I go back to a true hero, in my opinion, was one of the girls at Columbine. And I think she was in the cafeteria. She was hiding under a table, and one of the shooters came over to her, held a gun to her head, and said, "Do you believe in God?" And she said yes, and he killed her. And I look back on that and think to myself, if she had said no and he didn't, how can you kind of live with that if that wasn't your truth, type of thing? So I commend her for being a real hero, and I just want to make mention of her because there are a lot of heroes out there that are doing really good things and talking about God, and more openly now. There's more people doing it in sports now. There's more people in entertainment. And so sometimes the pendulum has to swing, unfortunately, so far in one direction for people to want to talk about God, but better late than never. And so I want to thank God above all for believing in me. And there's two prayers that I say, and you and I talked off the air about something, and these two prayers I say with this thing all the time. And those two prayers are, guide me toward where you want me, guard me from where you don't, guide me toward who you want me with and from who you don't want me around, and your will over my want, which is my way of saying to God, I will fight for what I believe in and I will chase my dreams. And if there is a road that I go down in the chasing of my dreams that is wrong, or if I chase the wrong person in my quest to achieve my dreams, please may your will trump my want, and may you guide me in the right direction. So I want to thank God for prayerfulness and for guiding and guarding me. I want to thank God for helping me to grow and learn. I want to thank God for letting me be alive today, and for the friends and family that I have, to do what I love and love what I do, as I made mention of before, to have my health, for my dog to go through her little surgery and for her to be just as happy as she's ever been, and to, like you, have my parents here and well, and to Isaac and Rob that spoke with Amani at my event, for my mom and my dad that spoke there, and just for the spirit that God has always put inside of me, and the light that he's given me, and the desire to really honestly believe I could do anything, to have that faith, and to give me that, just everything he's put in me, I'm thankful for, and I'm happy for the life that I have, and I'm happy to make people laugh. I'm happy to have laughter in my life every day, and I'm very, very grateful that my inner circle is strong. And, the only reason why I didn't tell you ahead of time about the party is because I know it's really hard for us to link up our schedules, and I really did want you to be here. And I was like, she probably can't, and that's okay, and I'm not going to be hurt by it. But
but you can't. Did you tell me about this? I can't remember.
I'd have to look through I'll tell you right now.
Okay, but either way, even when you know somebody probably can't, you can mention it, because you just never know when they can. But I mean, you're right. Like the odds are high, just based off of logistics, that I couldn't have made it. However, I do travel for business and things like that, so you just never know. You know what I mean? When I could potentially be somewhere popping up.
So, but you and I can hopefully do something soon. We did one broadcast together, and may the record show that I try many times to make sure that we can, if we can. So hopefully sometime. Yeah,
and I got to look at that. I got to look at that again and see if there's a day I can drive down or something like that for us to record in person. We do want to record in person, but again, the beauty of social media and the beauty of technology is that, like many of us who are on Zoom all day long or Teams calls all day long at work, we can at least be face-to-face here.
Oh, yeah. So with that being said, we've kind of already addressed it a little bit here, but TV, movies, and music from our childhood. The great thing about this is that I know Andrea can't mention Taylor Swift because she wasn't around when we were kids.
Correct.
So let's start with TV. What TV shows from your childhood are you thankful for? And if you would like to admit this, do you still feel a connection to today?
100% easiest answer ever, Saved by the Bell.
I knew you were going to say that.
Honestly, yeah, I still post memes about it all the time. I still know a lot of the episodes by heart, and like the Hawaii movie and the Wedding in Las Vegas movie that they did from
Hmm.
like I still know parts of the movie by heart if it comes on. And I recently was watching the college years. It was like on a like TBS or something.
Yeah.
But so that's an easy answer. If anybody knows me, they probably would have guessed that one. Or if they follow me, they probably would have guessed it because I have talked about Saved by the Bell in the past. Um, and the fact that I'm very glad that Mark Paul Gosselaar is on the show Found on NBC right now. He's playing a bad guy, which is very still hard for me to picture him as the bad guy. But I am very happy because often these kids in young careers, they don't ever make it past. So I'm excited about that. Um, I'm going to mention a movie that you probably have never heard of, though.
Hmm.
The number one movie from my childhood. And the reason why I think you haven't heard from it is I do think it's a little girly. Troop Beverly Hills with Shelley Long. About, see, about the Girl Scout troop, but she was like the rich divorcee and she takes over the troop leader because they don't have one. And she's like never been camping, she's never done anything. It's the cutest little movie, and it is the start. If you ever look up this movie for anybody listening, it is the start of several young people's careers, like that are now actresses probably older than me, um, at the ripe age of 42. They might be 48 to 50 now. But it launched like, I can't remember the girl's name now, Carla something, but she's a big time star. But it's a great little movie. And I relate so much because I too will never take my daughter probably camping. So it's a relatable thing for me.
So I will say, and anyone that, I mean, I've mentioned it on the show before, but anybody that knows me knows that Boy Meets World
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. That's a good show.
has
I'm
been,
older than you though, so I do feel like
yeah,
that was like slightly,
yeah,
I was slightly phasing out of TGIF. You know what I mean?
yeah. Well, I mean, and that show, still to this day, my one of my mentors, Tom DeSantis, who was at my party, he is in my phone as Feeney D for Feeney DeSantis,
Okay.
and so he is my Feeney, and I got to
Okay.
meet Eric, and I got to talk about Will Friedle, who played Eric Matthews, and I got to talk with him about Feeney, and I told him about my Feeney, and he was like, "See, you get it." He's like, "You know it." So, and he did the Feeney call, and mine became the Steven call for my buddy Steve in college, where I would do many versions of yelling out Steven on campus to make sure that everyone on the planet and off the planet could hear about Steve Stahl. And so I'm going to say Boy Meets World for me. And it's funny because I just had this conversation very recently, and the conversation was about how I wanted my life to be like Boy Meets World, and I
In
wanted
what
to,
way?
like, I was me, or I was Corey, my buddy James was Sean, and I wanted to find Topanga, and then I got to a point in my life where I said, I can't try to make this happen in my life. I need to just live my path, the path that God has for me, my journey, and not try to live this journey. So, be it of someone fictional or real. And the funniest thing about it is I said, I'm going to live my own life and I'm always going to appreciate the show. And then I met somebody and I slapped hands with her on our first date. And when I slapped hands with her, I felt this like tingle, like this weird type of electricity kind of on my hand. And
Mm-hmm.
when Corey first realizes he likes Topanga in the TV show, he slaps hands with her and he starts laughing because he feels something and he doesn't understand what it is and he doesn't know what to do. So, all I will say to the people out there is once I stopped trying to live the fantasy lived in that moment, which I thought was kind of unique.
Yes, you manifested Topanga. I feel like all guys that are your age had like a crush on Topanga. I feel like too. I feel like I've heard this before from other guys that they wanted like their girlfriend to be like Topanga. Um, Speaking of that era of life, did you see in the past week it was on? I want to say People put it out there or something like that. That Dave Coulier
Hey, Colleen.
from um,
Full House.
Yes, Full House. Sorry, he has cancer. And did you see that John Stamos and him, I think it was on People, they put out like an article and John Stamos had like a bald head and with him he said like I'll stand by you during this. I just thought it was so touching.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing is that a lot of these people, you become
You grew up
family.
with these people. You
Yeah,
grew up watching these
yeah.
stars. So, as important as the shows are to us, they lived a significant part of their life growing up with these stars in real life. You know what I mean? On these sets and stuff. So I feel like it's always really touching when you see that people are really friends too outside of the show.
Well, I think like the Boy Meets World, some of the cast coming together and doing a podcast with Topanga, Sean, and Eric, with all of them working together. Ryder Strong, who played Sean, Danielle Fishel, who played
Yep.
Topanga, and Will Friedle, who played Eric, to see them all together and celebrating Feeney's birthday because Mr. Feeney, he's still rocking, he's still going, and so William Daniels, God bless to you and to your wife and to your family and everyone you love. And may God continue to bless you all in Jesus' name. Amen. So, good to see Mr. Feeney. So, yeah, I mean, it's just, to me, it was funny because when I finally took myself out of Boy Meets World, I had a Boy Meets World moment,
I
which
love that.
I
Well,
thought
that's because
was,
you manifested Topanga. That's why I said you manifested her. And so you had the moment.
I will
You
say
guys,
this though, this girl
back
looked,
up. If you hear anything right now, my grass guy just decided to cut my grass right now by my office window. I just want to throw that out there. So if it sounds like somebody's got a chainsaw at my window, it's because out of all the times they could be doing this, he's doing this when we're recording.
oh, I've been there when I'm in the studio and there happens to be motorcycle action. So, but yeah, and I will say that this girl looks nothing like Topanga.
Okay,
So,
well,
but
that's okay. We
no,
didn't
no, I
manifest her.
no,
We
I
manifest a her.
right. I'm saying
Someone similar in nature.
right. No, I'm very happy of what she looks like. But I will say that I want to name another show. So I'm going to name Saved by the Bell, but I'm going to do it for a
Yes.
reason that is very important to me. Steve Stahl, I hope you're watching because in college, I I guess I deep down somewhere inside of me I was a prankster, but I didn't know that I was I always like making people laugh and joking around, but I did not know that I was a prankster until college fully. And Steve declared war on my household. So I decided to start playing pranks. And I pulled a prank on him. His room was two doors down from me in Medina Hall at Marywood University, and he was diagonal across from a janitor's closet. And in Saved by the Bell, I saw this rope trick where if you rope a door to a door, you can lock somebody in. So I roped Steve's door, Steve and John, sorry, John Granquist, but I roped their door to the janitor's closet. I don't know where I got the rope from. I want to say I probably got it like when I went home because my dad always has like stuff because he's, handy with a bunch of things. So I got this rope and I tried to see if it worked. Steve was locked in his room for 2 hours. And when he tried to yell at me, the door would slam shut every time he would pull on it. So you would only hear like every third or fourth word. He's like, Dan, go to promise I'll if you have and you just see it. So that moment, knowing that I pulled off a Saved by the Bell prank in real life by roping his door to the janitor's closet was one of one of my most exciting moments of my life. I'm sorry, Steve, when it comes
Lifetime icon. Lifetime icon award.
when it comes to
Iconic.
playing pranks. Yes, it was, and I am a prankster, and to every and when and to for people to know this too, I am a prankster when I am dating. I do play a lot of playful pranks, but I do play pranks on the women that I date. They are very elaborate,
Okay.
so I do. I've had women tell me in the be
Suddenly, wait, suddenly the listeners are like, Dan, is this why you've been single all along? You prank these girls right on out of your house?
so no, this the prank. Now it depends on the person, and it
Yeah, because some people aren't down
yeah.
for pranks.
No,
You know what I
right.
mean?
But my pranks, they're not bad, folks. They're playful, they're fun. But there is the prank of like she has no idea where I am, we're on vacation, and she doesn't know where I am in like the hotel room. And
Sure.
and the elaborate prank of where I'm willing to hide and how I'm willing to create spaces of hiding that people maybe have never thought of before. And so typically that's where I get in trouble, is the scare prank of her not knowing exactly where I am. But, I'm going to say that most of them were worth it.
Okay. I hope they thought so too.
So I'm
Okay,
not.
so I actually have something about this, and I think I mentioned this to you when we were texting about this. So a friend and I were out to dinner, and this came up. I don't know how it came up, but I'm interested to see what you say because, again, you're younger than me, so your memory's gonna be different, and you probably won't even remember mine. What is the first big news story you remember? I feel like, by the way, I feel like we're like at like trivia night, and we're thought starters, for big trivia questions. But what is the very first mega news story you remember as a child?
I would have to say, and it cut into Boy Meets World, and it
Oh
interrupted,
gosh.
TGIF,
Okay.
and it upset me.
Okay.
But I would have to say this: I was 10. I think I was 10. My buddy
Okay.
James was sleeping over, and because we grew up together, so James was sleeping over.
I know what you're gonna say.
My mom was downstairs with us, and this white Bronco showed up
I
on
knew it.
television.
I knew it.
The OJ chase is the first monumental news thing that I remember.
It's funny. I actually remember that night too. I had gone to a Florida Gator game and I had a friend sleeping over. My parents took us to the game in Gainesville and we had come back home. And that's pretty much what I remember about that is that we had just been at the Gator game. But I remember that too. It's funny you say this. So mine is, and you may not even know about this, but anybody who's my age or older is totally going to remember this and they're going to be like, holy crap, I totally forgot about this. Baby Jessica falling in the well. So please, Dan, you've got to Google this afterwards, okay?
Okay.
Baby Jessica, she was a little bit under 2 years old, and there was a well type of thing in her yard. Like, it was, I just looked this up because we had this conversation. I can't remember. It's like, I don't know, 18 feet down, 27 feet down, something like that. Anyway, it was not capped off. Baby Jessica's playing in her yard, and all of a sudden, Baby Jessica's missing. Baby Jessica has fallen down this well in a split. For like 3 days, they had to go next to the well tube, and they had to drill. They had literally like oil drillers coming in to drill, and then like this firefighter had to climb all the way down there and literally pull her out. It is see now you're gonna look this up, but they did like lifetime specials on this and everything, but. I was probably 3 years old when this happened, but I distinctly remember my mother watching TV like 7 or 8 o'clock at night and everybody freaking out about this child that they can hear crying down there. They know she's still alive and they're trying to get her out of this well. I mean, it is the wildest thing. She's still alive. I think she's married now. She's like 37 or 38 now, I think. But that's the very first thing I remember.
Yeah, and I mean I will, and that's an interesting. I did not know that one. But I will say that I do remember, and my dad thinks like this is impossible, but I do remember things from when I was like really, really little.
So do I. Like, I think I remember the Challenger
I mean,
space shuttle thing.
I remember when I was in my crib and my dad came home and he had all the lights off and he was like looking at me in my crib. He like came in to see me when he got home. And I remember just seeing these eyes moving in the dark and I cried, and I still remember that. And I remember one night I cried. I don't think it was the same night, but one night I cried in my crib. I know exactly where I was, and my mom picked me up, and this is the first movie that I ever remember watching. My mom picked me up out of my crib 10 o'clock at night. Maybe it was that same night. 10 o'clock at night, a little bit past 10. She sat in the rocking chair. She put me on her chest, and I laid there, and she rocked with me, and I watched The Wizard of Oz for the first time. So I still remember that. It's The Sound of Music and The Wizard of Oz are my mom's tied for her favorite movie ever. So that was really cool. And for Mother's Day this year, I brought my mom out into the country to have a Mother's Day brunch, which looked like The Sound of Music. So I brought her to all these rolling hills to help her feel like she was literally transported into her favorite movie. And then I brought her to the movie theater to watch The Wizard of Oz on Mother's Day. So I brought her into her favorite movie and then brought her to her other favorite movie to celebrate Mother's Day.
Oh,
So
I love that.
I'm all about doing things that are very personal, and
I love
God
that.
is always there for the big giant assist. Because people will
Yeah.
be like, "How'd you come up with that?" And I'm like, sometimes it just works out. And
Yeah.
it's happened so many times that I have to give God all the glory for it. I will say this when we were talking about movies. So, love The Wizard of Oz, but
Mhm.
movie from my childhood, there's two franchises, but they are the most distinct in my memory. And that is, besides The Wizard of Oz, it is Home Alone 1 and 2
Yeah, good choice.
and Back to the Future 1 and 2.
Also,
And
very good choices.
so I very much grew up like Marty McFly. You try to be a nice kid to everybody, got picked on, never understood why. Always wanted my hoverboard, still don't have one, waiting on that Santa, hopefully this year. And so I very much learned from Michael J. Fox to stick up for myself, that
Yep.
being yourself is the best to be, being in your own skin is the best skin to be in, having a faith and having a belief and having a little fantasy and magical side to life. There's nothing wrong with that. I do think that there is magic in reality, and
Hmm.
so I very much believe in that. And my buddy Isaac, one of my closest friends, one of my brothers, he gave me great advice, and he was talking to me about when you're in a relationship, stop going to the past when you're dating someone. And he just said to me recently, he said, take a message from Michael J. Fox and stop going back to the future, is what he said to me.
Okay, I
And
like that.
so that stuck. Thank you, Isaac. And then Home Alone 1 and 2, I absolutely love those movies. I do an impression of Joe Pesci. You can hear it every Monday through Friday on Wake Up Call when
I
I do
love
my
that.
Brooklyn Pickle commercial. So I am a
I love that.
I watch Home Alone 1 or 2 or both pretty much every Thanksgiving. I watch one, and then every Christmas I watch one. And when it's on television and I'm leaving my house, I leave it on for Lily, which I did yesterday. So I would say from my childhood, Home Alone and Back to the Future, which taught me to not be afraid as a kid, stick up for myself, be who I am, believe in the things in life that we can't explain, and always be willing to go on an adventure.
I love that. I love Home Alone also, and we watch it also here. My kid, it's funny. So it's funny. My son will be 8 in February, and he's a movie guy. Like he likes to watch movies. He likes to play Madden.
Yeah.
I mean, he likes to play outside too, nonstop. He's a football kid, but in general, like it's fun. Like it's fun for Josh because Josh loves to play Madden with him, right? The video game side of it. But like it's fun to see the things that Jackson's into. A lot of times are like movies like Home Alone, The Sandlot, things that we watched as kids or as, young preteens, whatever. Like, I find that he's really into those kind of movies. And it's interesting because whatever they were rated PG-13 for in the past is nothing like it is today. So it's really so minimal. It's like, it's fine for him to watch as a young kid. So it's fun to watch him like the same movies that we like. I mean,
Yeah.
the Grinch, we probably watched the Grinch. Oh, Cat in the Hat, the Grinch, we probably watched it 100 times.
Well, that's the thing is like PG-13 for us as kids was not one F bomb. Now
Oh
that's what
yeah,
it
I
is.
know.
You can say one F bomb. I mean, I'm going back and I'm looking at Home Alone and going, they literally made multiple movies of grown men chasing
Yeah,
a small boy trying to murder
I
him.
know.
Like,
I
and,
know.
and in the same year that Joe Pesci made Home Alone 1, he made Goodfellas when he was cutting up a body and using a knife from like his mother's house and putting the body in the trunk. So, like,
Right.
You know, I mean, when you really put that together, you're like, people saw Joe Pesci in the movie theater and was like, oh, he's a cold blooded killer in the mob. And then they're like, oh, he's also murdering children by going to their homes. Like, I mean,
Right.
it's
Right.
so, I mean, it's
Right.
crazy when you think about it, but movies were better back then because there was no like DEI worry, diversity, equality, inclusion. Like,
Yeah.
listen, this is how I am with everything. Get
Yeah.
rid of DEI and the forcing of trying to make things happen, throw it in the trash, and then just hire the best person. Because if you hire a white, straight male today, then you're being racist. You're being
Right.
prejudiced. I mean, I had somebody tell me in the industry as an actor, he said, you have Hispanic blood or you have Spanish blood. He said, lead with that because nobody wants to hire a white guy anymore. And and then I look at movies now and like the white guys are the villains now all the time. And, you know, they make movies with, but the thing is the DEI stuff, it's not working. Like Marvel made a movie of all women. And it was like forced upon you that it was all these women characters and a woman villain, and there was no backstory and there was no sense of anything. And the movie totally bombed. And the sad part is, the movie would have been really good if they didn't focus on DEI and they focused on the story and they actually wrote something good for Captain Marvel and Brie Larson, because I think she's a good actress and I think the
Yeah.
character is fantastic.
Yeah.
So all I'm saying here, for those of you that might be mad that I'm saying anti DEI, is what I'm saying is DEI creates inequality, and inequality created inequality before DEI. So the best thing that I can tell you all is, man or woman, child or adult, old or young, black, white, blue, brown, whatever, and whatever sexuality or race, how about, in any amount of money, how about we just start hiring people on what Martin Luther King Jr. said, which was the content of their character and their abilities and talents that they have? Because if I hire someone, it's never because of their color, their gender, their whatever in life. The people that I've hired to work at Dan Tortora Broadcast Media are because I believe in them, I care about them, I have faith in them, and I see something in them, and they work really hard. So I feel like people might look at a hire that I make and go, wow, she's a woman and she's African American. Look at how brave Dan is. And I'm like, that's not bravery. World War II and my uncles and my grandfather, that was bravery. I hired her because I've known her since she was 12, and she's incredibly talented and she's a fantastic human being. And she believes in God and she has morals and values that I respect. I would
Right.
have hired her if she was orange.
Right.
So, you know, I
Right.
just I
Like,
just
so
want to
basically
get
what you're
away
saying
from
is
all
like
that
people
stuff.
putting too much emphasis on being politically correct when instead you're just hiring the person who's the best fit for the job.
Right. Which is what I think you should do. Like, if you were hiring in the past and you're like, okay, I'm going to pick the best white person for the job, or I'm going to pick the best woman for the job, that's discrimination. But DEI
Right.
in its own right is discriminating against people, and there is discrimination going on because it's now like, okay, well, we have to take an African American woman over a Caucasian woman. We have to take a Puerto Rican male over a white male. Where I just want to see Puerto Ricans and Caucasians and Asian and African American. I want to see everybody get a fair shot. And DEI was created with the illusion of a fair shot, but all it's done is it's just cut different people out of it. And all I've seen through the history of
Well,
humanity
it's
that,
cut the white male out of it.
right. So, and what I've seen in my life is, I grew up with certain people being ostracized. And now that I'm older, it's still people being ostracized, but it's different people. And all I
Hmm.
want to tell people is, no matter who you ostracize, it keeps
Hmm.
racism, sexism, and prejudice alive. So if you
Sure.
say, well, I'm gonna push out this person because, and I'm gonna build up this person that was pushed down for this many years, all you're doing is keeping the playing field the same. Because if there was an inequality before and then you shift it in the other direction, it's still unequal, which is still causing resentment, which causes hate, which causes ignorance, which causes many more years of abuse. So, what I would say to the DEI movement is, let's just hire the right people, because making movies trying to force something down our throats, and Disney's doing it right now, and they're doing it with kids, and they're doing it in ways that I find completely despicable. but Disney is forcing it so hard that they're literally killing off characters by simply telling their stories wrong. So the best thing that I can say about anything I had in my childhood is that in my childhood, I go back and watch those movies and I still feel like they mean something. Where when I watch a movie today, there's parts of a movie where I can literally sit there and go, this was only put in there because someone forced it in there in HR. And I just don't want to see that in movies anymore. I want to see black, white, brown, blue work together and actually just make a kick-ass movie together instead of saying, this is a black movie, this is a white movie, this is an Asian movie. I'm over the discrimination that even though they say it's not anymore, all it's done is it's just made it a different way, but it's still there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't disagree. My mom and I actually were just talking about, I posted something on my Facebook about the Aaron Hernandez show on FX. And so I watched the series. Listen, I'm a Florida Gator fan, so I followed his career anyway.
Yeah.
I've seen like the documentaries on it and all these things, right? And what the series did was it did a very good job of making you have empathy for him, right? Now, my cop friends say to me he was criminal, blah, 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 blah. I don't discredit that. I don't just disagree. However, they did a really good job, like I said, of making you feel empathy for his inner demons he was fighting,
Yeah.
and for the potential of CTE being the most advanced case they'd ever seen when they studied his brain afterwards for a 27-year-old, okay? However, they outed they outed his because there's rumors of him being secretly gay and having to deal with that, right? They outed his high school quarterback best friend and then one of his trainers that he had over the years. Now, this could all be fictionalized for the show too, because it is a Ryan Murphy show, and it could be fictionalized. And look, there's always that this is fictionalized, it's based on the truth, but not the full truth, whatever. But I guess the thought was from my mom, and her comment was, did they really need to do all that though? Did they need to dig that deep into that and unfortunately out someone who may not be out?
Yeah.
If that part of the story is true.
Yeah.
And if it's not true, the links that the TV sleuths will go to Google and find out, was there a friend? Was there this? Was that? It's like, in a way, you're taking somebody else's personal business and putting it out there because you want to show it in the show. And you want to make it all this sensationalism around, this gay background story, which, look, that's sensational enough. Football player, gay, whatever. People are, they think what they think about that. But was it necessary? I don't think so. But I think that that's where we're at today in television, movies, etc., is that there is this feeling of inclusion, right? There's that. And there's also this feeling of sensationalism, of, pushing the boundaries. And it's the same with sex in general. Like, I don't need to see, I'm not trying to watch a couple be any color, anything. I don't really need to see a couple having sex on TV. When I'm watching a show with my family, I don't need them to see them break into some sexual scene. I really don't. If I would do that in adult time if that's something I needed to do. But in general, there is sensationalism being pushed and a narrative being pushed on the American people of how far can we go? What are you willing to watch? What are you not willing to watch? You know what I mean? And I think it's a little much.
Well, I mean, and that's, there's a series on Disney Plus right now where 100% of the series was gay relationships, no straight relationships, and I don't care either way. Like,
I don't either. Like, I really could care less, but I also don't think it's like necessary, to your point, to make a solely gay show.
Right.
Like, why couldn't it be couples?
Right.
Different couples. All different couples.
Well, and that's the thing is what that to me, and I go off of what you said. One of my good friends going through college, and I still hope the best for him today, and I miss seeing him because we had a lot of fun in college. Is one of my buddies, he came out during college, and I remember he sat in my car and he came out to me, and we had been friends for 4 years, and he got up and he went to get out of my car, and I said, what are you doing? So he got out of the car, or he went to get out of the car, and he said, well, I told you that I'm gay, and my best friend's not friends with me anymore, he doesn't care about me, so you're probably the same. I said, get back in the car, shut the door. So he got in the car, he shut the door. I said, we've been friends for 4 years. If I'm not going to be your friend after 4 years because you told me more of who you are, I'm the dick, not you. I'm the jerk. And so to me, it's like, I'm all about live your life and do your thing, but I'm not trying to watch a show to see heterosexual or homosexual giant sex scenes because I'm watching it with my mom, my dad. I'm like, I'll fast forward through stuff now because I'm like, I'm not gonna,
even when I'm alone, honestly.
I don't need
because
to
I'm
see
like,
it.
what are the kids gonna walk downstairs while I'm trying to just catch up on my Netflix show, you know? And I'm just there for the plot. I'm not there for all that craziness. Like, it's just, I don't know. Again, and listen, some listeners might be like, oh, what a prude, like whatever. I just think it's unnecessary in the world of entertainment that you have to like kind of go there and that racy all the time.
If I'm going to watch anybody do it, let it be me. So with that being said,
There you go.
So
You sound like my husband right now. That's like my husband right now. That's his vibe.
it's true. I don't want to. My friends tell me about what they're doing with their wives. I'm like, I don't want to know because I'm not involved. If I'm not involved and I can't have fun with it, I don't want to know about it. You live your life, you have a good time, but there's something about the fact that a gentleman doesn't talk about that stuff. So, Two Mics No Filter, Thanksgiving 2024 special, TV, movies, and music from our childhood, and letting you all know that if we're going to be intimate, we're going to do it behind closed doors, and y'all need to watch it on television. Andrea, as always, I appreciate your time.
Hi, guys.